Hi everyone, welcome to VRC with Gaurav. In this video, we will take a look at CAT 2022 Slot 1's first RC passage. The passage is actually a very amusing one. When I went through it for the first time, I was actually a bit surprised and shocked. Did they genuinely put this kind of passage in the exam? So, for myself, personally, on a personal note, I'm very surprised that a passage like this made its way into a very serious exam like that. But nonetheless, let's go and take a look at it. Okay. So if you haven't gone through the passage, I would recommend that you pause this video right here, go through the passage, and then start play once you have finished reading. Okay, then. So coming to the passage, once again, very simple, very straightforward language. Just एक दो जगह पर थोड़ा सा dramatic touch दिया है. The author has used words or personification in some ways, which is not to be taken literally. Okay, and that is especially over there in the first paragraph, जिसके ऊपर एक question भी है हमारे पास में. So let's take a look what the passage actually talks about one by one. In the first paragraph, the author is setting the narrative that we are going to discuss the origin, the thought process, the concept regarding the undead. What exactly is the undead? So sort of supernatural beings जिसके अंदर में इंसान mankind has believed in their existence right from the earliest years. When mankind was evolving, maybe when we were moving from the apes to being actual humans. So since then, we have been believing in sort of supernatural existence of things. Okay. So in this case, author is saying that when we look and go back deep into our history, we can see mention of the presence of man or man's ancestors believing in the existence of eerie creatures. Eerie creatures means eerie means something strange and frightening. Okay. And the thing about these supernatural creatures is that mankind believed that they are neither properly alive the way we were, nor are they properly dead. Now, the thing is that mankind's understanding, mankind's perception of these so-called supernatural beings was quite vague. Okay, it is given over and over in the first paragraph in multiple places that mankind's perception, understanding about such supernatural beings was vague, and as such, the existence of the supernatural thing was sometimes considered on the positive side. We have been given this word primitive deities. Now, deities meaning in Hindi, if I can give you a word, Daitya, Daivat, okay? The gods that we go and pray in our temples, the statues. So we can say that so and so god is a deity representing some power, representing some energy, okay? And on the other hand, you also have some spooky negative side of this supernatural thing. For example, uh, people or things that may have died but not completely died, they are still present on earth in some supernatural form. Okay, they refuse to remain in their tombs and wandered about the countryside, tormenting the people who are living. Okay, basically, bhatakti atma. Okay, I genuinely cannot believe they gave a passage like this. I am right now very amused by whatever is given in the passage. Barely can keep a straight face when narrating what is given. Yes, all in all, they were vague and indistinct, but always there. लग रहा है इंसान imagine कीजिए आप हमारे ancestors sitting huddled in a cave, maybe or surrounded by fire, and beyond the light of the fire in the darkness in the forest, they believe कि वो supernatural creature है भाई हमारी जान ले लेगा हम जाएंगे ठीक है. And then others say that when we left the cave, when we moved beyond, when our civilization progressed, we set up towns, cities, entire cultures, and still the concept of this undead remained with us. Rather, it started now becoming more and more sophisticated, more and more polished. When we were cave dwelling people, our understanding of these creatures, our thought process regarding them was very vague. But now, wow, it is getting a sort of proper structure. It is getting a concrete format. Okay. So there was still an element of vagueness and ill-defined, but as mankind strove to explain the horror which it felt towards them, such creatures emerged more readily into the light, meaning that our narratives regarding them started getting more and more concrete, proper polish, finesse aane laga, and in order to convey the terror, in order to convey the fear that man felt about them, these supernatural, these undead creatures were given as a fancy powers, very unnatural powers they were given. Okay, attributes which defied the unnatural order of the things. For example, what kind of powers are we talking about here? बहुत ही amusing to read. Power to transform themselves into other shapes. Okay. Ability to sustain themselves by drinking human blood. Nothing but vampires. We know what we are talking about here. Ability to influence human minds across a distance. Okay. Some kind of telepathy sort of scene going on. Okay. So such powers described as supernatural, they aided in a conception of horror, in a concept of fear regarding such creatures. All right, all right. And then coming to the closing remark, the author says कि क्या हुआ ना कि on one hand we are talking about the supernatural creatures, of course, and we started correlating them with people who can do some kind of magic. Okay, please don't make the mistake that in the penultimate para author is saying supernatural equal to magic. No, supernatural beings and people who can do magic, for example, the shamans and witch doctors, author has mentioned here. What about them? Author is saying that we started to believe that people who can do this kind of magic or actually pretend or show that they can do this magic, they started having some kind of transactional vyavhar with supernatural elements. Maybe some supernatural elements communicate in some form or the other with these shamans and witch doctors. And as our society progressed, as we became more and more civilized, we started believing in a situation where we have a competent sorcerer, koi to jadugar hai, who can summon these supernatural beings uh, at will. Okay, they were subject to magical control and could actually be summoned by a competent sorcerer. पहले हम believe करते थे कि भाई witch doctors और ये जो shamans है, maybe they are communicating with this supernatural element. Supernatural things are still hidden in the shadows. But देखो हम जैसे जैसे progress हो रहे हैं, हमारे ideas और कितने out of proportion flow होते हैं. That now we started to believe that there is a guy, competent magician, who can actually summon them physically. आ गया सामने, आंखों के सामने supernatural being खड़ा है. ठीक है? So still in spite of this, author is giving still the understanding, the relationship between the magician and an undead creature was often very tenuous and uncertain. ठीक है, तो फिर भी एक वेगनेस का एलिमेंट है ही. इट्स नॉट लाइक सुपर गारंटीड है क्या चल रहा है क्या नहीं. एंड देन लास्टली ऑथर इज सेइंग कि as we move from middle ages, the dark ages, to the age of enlightenment, meaning that renaissance, industrial revolution, blah blah, all that time, so theories of undead continue to grow and develop. मतलब हम रुक नहीं रहे, ऐसी supernatural related बातें करते ही जा रहे हैं हम. And now we are giving them even very concrete, very relatable names: werewolf, vampire, ghoul, each one certain to strike fear in the heart of ordinary humans. ठीक है, gives a low key सस्ता वाला थोड़ा Twilight and Harry Potter feels here. Okay? So can you believe that this guy actually gave this in the CAT exam, a passage like this, and that in the first slot? Okay, morning slot. Imagine going to your exams, kind of stressed out, morning 8 a.m. and the first passage that comes before you is this. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. All right, then let's go to the first question. What does it say? Okay. Now questions like this, if false वाला ना, इनको handle करने का एक unique तरीका I'll share with you. I don't want to, transform every option into a false version and then decide सही कौन सा गलत कौन सा है. So I try to make my job easier. I say that if false मतलब कैसे लिखेंगे? Not true. Okay. Now one thing is given that we are used to reading the options in the true format. For example, when you read option A, you can analyze how good or wrong it is in the way it is stated. But if I tell you कि इसका not version चलाओ या इसको false बनाओ और फिर सोचो कि अच्छा है या बुरा है, your mind will get messed up. So don't let that happen. What we will do is we will take this not and transfer it later in the question. Meaning that now let me take this not. Okay. Basically, I'm rubbing it out here and I'm transferring it to something else. Could be seen as not being in accordance with passage, except. तो एक बार इस क्वेश्चन को इस फॉर्मेट में मेरे साथ पढ़ना है आपको. ऑल ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स इफ ट्रू, मतलब यहां तक आपको कोई लोड नहीं, सारे के सारे ऑप्शन जैसे फॉर्मेट में वैसे पढ़ो. आपको पता चलेगा कि all of them are not in line with passage, not in accordance with passage, except, मतलब क्या, मतलब ये, just a moment, that you will have three options which are not in line with passage, one option in line with passage, और जो वो रहेगा in line with passage, that is of course going to be your answer. This is what the question implies. This is a funda which I follow. It might feel confusing to a fair amount of people, but trust me, with a fair amount of practice, you can get a good grip on this. Personally, I find changing every option a very risky task because we are not used to this. So under the influence, under the pressure of the ticking timer, it can lead to very dangerous errors. So I prefer to change the question itself and retain the options in the same format. Okay. So with this, let's go to the options. So we'll start from a reverse chronology. We'll start from option D. Let's take a look what it says. Growing sophistication of mankind meant that humans stopped believing in the undead. Hell no, hell no. Rather, the more we became sophisticated, our understanding of undead also kept on becoming more and more polished. So this is not in line with passage. Okay, meaning that that is one of these three options which we are not going to mark out. C. Relationship between shamans and the undead was believed to be strong and stable one. Definitely not. यहाँ पे highlight किया है, हमने discuss किया है. It was often considered tenuous and uncertain. ठीक है, बहुत strong guaranteed कुछ नहीं चल रहा है. Vagueness है relationship between the supernatural things and the people who are doing some जादूगरी. ठीक है, so bye bye. Second option, undead remained vague and ill-defined, even as mankind strove to understand the horror they inspired. No, not really. Undead remained vague and ill-defined only in the first para, only when man was living in caves. When we stepped out of the cave, when we ended up creating a culture, modern culture, then second, third, fourth para, पूरा का पूरा इसी बात को dedicated है that the ideas that we had regarding the supernatural elements, they started becoming more and more polished. पहले हम कुछ वेग डेफिनेशन देते थे, अब कितने कॉन्क्रीट डेफिनेशन से बताते हैं, ये वैम्पायर, वो घाउल, ये वियरवुल्फ, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. So again, this is not in line with the passage. So naturally, answer becomes option A. What? The transition from Middle Ages to Age of Enlightenment saw new theories of the undead. Do we have a sentence backing it? Definitely we do. Underlining it, continue to grow and develop. Theories of the undead continue to grow and develop as we move from Middle Ages to the Age of Enlightenment. Okay? So very straightforward, very easy. You just have to change the wording of the question correctly. Okay? But please do this in a safe manner. Don't rush. Okay? And do decent amount of practice. Do not expect to become good at this by doing just 1-2 questions here and there randomly. Because this case was actually a very lame, very easy one. But sometimes the question setter can end up messing with you really badly. Okay, so tread with caution. So with that, let's go to the next question. Question 2. Okay, what does it say? Which one of the following observation is a valid conclusion to draw from the statement? What? From out of the primal, blah, blah, blah. Acha ji, theek hai. First para we are going to talk about here. Let's highlight it. From out of the primal darkness. Okay, this part. Mankind's earliest years come whispers of eerie creatures which may not be quite alive, not quite dead as well. Okay. तो यहाँ पर इस सेंटेंस को आपको लिटरली नहीं लेना, ठीक है, कि इंसान के इतिहास में जब आप देखते हो तो आपको आवाजें आती है डरावनी क्रीचर्स की. नो, नो वे. ओके, दिस इज जस्ट सम ड्रामेटिक वर्ड प्ले बीइंग डन बाय द ऑथर. पर्सोनिफिकेशन वाले जोन में गया है दैट mankind's past is going to give out who आवाज करके eerie whispers. No, nothing like that. Author is implying that when we go and study mankind's deep past, we end up seeing that old school man would also believe in some supernatural creatures. They believe that there are creatures out there who are dangerous, who are not neither alive properly nor dead properly. So effectively, old school man, ancestors believing in existence of undead, existence of supernatural creatures. So which option do we have backing this? Very straightforward. Option C. And mankind's early years were marked by a belief in the existence of eerie creatures. That's it. Plain and simple. Okay. Remaining options, they are taking this sentence way too literally and उसके different interpretation करके आपके सामने लिखे हैं. But once again, I am emphasizing this sentence is not to be taken literally. Okay, you have to derive what the message author wants to give out, and that is what he exactly goes on to discuss in the rest of first passage, first paragraph. Okay, so with that, I hope that you have understood what is to be done in this sentence. Once you have cracked that, then getting to the right option remains child's play. All right, let's go to the pardon. Let's go to the next question. Which of the following statement best describe what passage is about? Basically, main idea question. Okay. So for main idea, we know that the statement should be author's own opinion, not somebody else's, and should cover the scope of it, the entire passage, not fixated on something on a specific part of the passage. Okay. So answer once again becomes option C. Passage discusses what? Evolution of theories regarding undead. Okay. कब से कब तक? From primitive thinking to the age of enlightenment. Definitely. Primitive thinking as in when man was living in caves, first paragraph. Age of enlightenment, last paragraph. That we used to live in caves, mentioned in first para. Then we set up towns, cities, gradually our culture progressed. And from Middle Ages, the passage is now concluding with the mention of age of enlightenment. Definitely spans the entire scope of passage. And of course, the discussion is very much centered on understanding our definition of undead, supernatural. Okay. Option B, some people might have come close to marking it, but it has a horrible generalization. What is it saying? Transition from primitive thinking to age of enlightenment, and discusses the transition. Now, thinking as in what sense? We can think about literally tons of stuff, right? Thinking regarding science, thinking regarding health, life, death, culture, religion, what? None of this is covered in passage. Only and only perception, thinking regarding the supernatural undead. Okay, so that mention is nowhere present in option B, and because of that, we have to throw it out without a second thought. Okay, option A and D are very lame. You can throw them out even if you are very okayish with main idea questions. Answer once again becomes very clear. Option C. Okay, so as you can see, while the passage itself was a very lame one, very straightforward one, the questions are even lamer. Okay, but that's actually a good news. If you were a morning slot person, having passages like this gets your confidence going really well. Okay, and now coming to the last question. Okay, क्या लिखा है? In order to confirm their abnormal status, blah blah blah. Acha, okay. This sentence is given over here in the third paragraph. First sentence, underlining it for you. In order to confirm their abnormal status, many of the undead were often accorded attributes. तो यहाँ पर बस एक काम आपको पता होना चाहिए, accorded का मीनिंग पता होना चाहिए. Accorded, what does it mean? Given. To accord mean to give, and accorded का मीनिंग है given. Okay, मतलब कि mankind wanted to confirm abnormal status of this undead things, undead supernatural things. तो उनको हमने ऐसे एट्रीब्यूट्स दिए, ऐसे फीचर्स दे दिए जो बहुत अननेचुरल है, और उसके डिफरेंट डिफरेंट एग्जांपल्स भी दिए यहाँ पे. फॉर एग्जांपल, वी स्टार्टेड बिलीविंग कि यार उनको ना खुद का शेप चेंज करते आता है, दे कैन सस्टेन देमसेल्फ बाय ड्रिंकिंग ह्यूमन ब्लड. ऑल ऑफ दीज आर वेरी अननेचुरल थिंग. ओके, naturally we cannot change our shape, naturally we can't drink other humans ka blood unless you are a cannibal, of course. Okay, so in this case, what we are discussing through this sentence, what the author wants to say is simply this, कि सुपरनैचुरल के एग्जिस्टेंस में तो बिलीव करते ही करते थे, बट एट दिस स्टेज इन सिविलाइजेशन मैनकाइंड स्टार्टेड बिलीविंग कि अनडेड के पास में कुछ सुपरनैचुरल पावर्स भी है, अननेचुरल पावर्स भी है. दैट्स इट, एंड ऑफ स्टोरी. And that is covered appropriately in second option, very straightforward option B, that human beings conceptualize the undead as possessing abnormal features. Abnormal features in the sense, all these ability to change shapes, drink human blood, sustain, blah blah. Okay, remaining options have very stupid distortions here and there. What does option C say? कि giving undead an abnormal status is to reject natural order of things. मतलब अगर आप इस supernatural undead को abnormal status देते हो तो आप कुदरती तौर तरीकों के खिलाफ जा रहे हो. Wait a minute, what? No, no, no. Why am I going opposite to nature? No, it's rather the undead who is being given powers which are sort of unnatural. Okay, we are not doing any unnatural thing when giving supernatural status to this undead guys. Okay, so option C has a very stupid distortion that way, that it is now starting to claim that bro तुम उनको दे रहे हो ना supernatural power तो तुम कुदरत के खिलाफ जा रहे हो. Shut the fuck up, man. Okay, pardon my language. I am actually very amused by this passage and its existence in the CAT exam. If you go back any number of years, you will not find a passage as amusing as this. Okay, there is nowhere any critical mention, any critical deep thought given by the author. Seems like the passage was lifted from some kind of Sunday newspaper में आते हैं ना हल्के फुल्के article which you can have enjoy on a Sunday afternoon after a heavy lunch. Seems something like that. Okay, imagine a passage like this coming for a national level super competitive exam. Okay. Shallow then. I hope that you understood the passage, had a good time going through it and understanding the question answer. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.